space is now just another mystery about to be solved with the help of incredible spacecrafts and aviators. But there is a lot more to the story. Shocking, unbelievable, or simply incredible. This video is a compilation of, so far, the most astonishing discoveries of space. Jumping from the space. Felix Baumgartner is a skydiver and a base jumper born in Austria on October 14, 2012. At the age of 43, Felix, with the help of an air-gas balloon, reached outer space and jumped from the height of 38,969 meters. But suddenly, something happened that nobody was expecting. Due to lower density in the air, Felix lost his control and began to spin. After spinning for some seconds, he finally gained control over his body. Finally, Felix landed safely in the land of Mexico, US, and left everyone around the world shocked. JELLO water. Every day, astronauts living in space discover something surprising there. Luckily, we now have access to all those discoveries, thanks to the internet. This astronaut is trying to show the class of science students what will happen if we squeeze a wet towel in space. Instead of using a tub filled with water, the scientist here is using a bag filled with water, having a straw at one end to wet the towel. And when he squeezes the wet towel, the water is not dropping to the surface but moves in the hands of the scientist. The students started applauding the teacher after watching this magical experiment. Blue Lake on the Moon. The Blue Lake, or the INA, was discovered in 1971 when the crew of Apollo 15 took some usual photos of the moon while returning home. These videos accidentally caught something which seemed to be a small blue spot from such a height, but when zoomed in, the scientists were surprised that it was a small lake on the surface of the moon caused by the recent volcanic activity on the moon. And 5 years from now, it has been proven that not even one, but several lakes exist on the lunar surface, but are so small that the maximum area a lake covers is 500 meters long. Triangular UFOs. The ISS shuttle was all set to travel back home, and the shuttle commander Atlantis was making some final adjustments to the shuttle when suddenly he describes to the mission controlling crew that he is sighting something not seen before calling it a reflective object. But when the mission control took over of the camera, they were shocked to see another two objects flying around in the same direction, making the iconic triangular shape. This event created hype in the media, portraying them as three UFOs. But NASA and the aviation agencies denied all these myths, calling those object debris flying in the same direction, reflecting the sunlight. Moonwalking. The first flag to reach up to the moon was the American flag. In this video, the two astronauts you are seeing are Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz. On the 20th of July 1969, NASA made history when these two astronauts became the first ones to step on the moon. Because the moon's surface is like a powder and hard to manage a stable walk, this video shows clearly how one of them is hopping to reach the other participant. But it also shows the courage of our heroes. Walk in space. Scientists in a race to explore space were doing one after another experiment. On June 3, 1965, Ed White, a U.S. scientist, came out of the hatch of his space capsule named Gemini and started preparing for the first ever walk in space by the U.S. Attached to a 25 feet long cable, he became the first astronaut to walk in space. He stayed in the space floating, or we can now say walking, for about 12 minutes, providing us the fascinating views of his first walk. Recipe from space. A peanut butter tortilla. Though everything in space floats away, scientists always have a way to make themselves comfortable, even miles far from Earth. This astronaut has recorded an alternate peanut butter sandwich. Since breadcrumbs would start flying in space, he is using a tortilla instead of bread. Adding peanut butter to the wrap, he then adds honey to complete his recipe. Apart from the recipe, did you guys notice how all objects in the capsule are attached to a sticker to avoid any flying objects? So the wrap is ready to go, which according to this guy, tastes more delicious than a bread sandwich on Earth. Spinning session. These scientists living in the ISS, International Space Station, are about to have a chilling experiment. Due to no gravity, it can be seen in the video that they are literally floating in the air, but still managing to stand steady. This astronaut will now spin himself in circular motions to see if he reacts the same way as he reacts on the Earth. With the help of a fellow scientist, the guy is now spinning faster. Just wait till he stops! Just as he stopped doing the spin within the span of a maximum of 3 seconds, he is again standing steady. Whereas if this experiment was held on Earth, his head would be spinning a lot faster, even after slowing down. Lost shield in space. Before starting the video, I want you guys to observe the overwhelming view of Earth from this space. This just looks unbelievable. These two astronauts are in their work field, which is, by the way, in space. One of the astronauts named Peggy Whitson is busy doing his work, and it was too late when he realized that he just loads one of his shields, which is an anti-debris shield to protect the aircraft from space debris. But other than showing the long-gone shield, Peggy also unconsciously captured one of the most incredible views of the Earth. Freedom of space. Earlier in this video, I talked about the first ever walk in space. Now, imagine walking in space without being cabled to your aircraft, and just having the slightest possibility of your plan working and still taking the risk and coming back alive. This is what Bruce McCandless did back in 1984, becoming the first astronaut to try and test the air jet pack firing burst of nitrogen gas. Throughout the flight of 4 hours, the jetpack provided communication and power to steer in space. He made history by flawlessly managing the entire flight with no lifeline supporting him. Flying ice. On April 27, 2017, a mysterious object was caught flying just after the Space Crew Shuttle was taking off from planet Earth, causing a sensation over the media. In this video, you can see just when the falcon of the rocket separated from the Dragon, an object gave a close call to the rocket, leaving the planet to fly right through the two parts. This made the mission controllers have second thoughts about the rocket landing safely in space. But luckily, all 4 of the crew members landed safe and sound, and even exchanged hugs at their arrival inside the space capsule. And now let us move on to our subscriber pick of the day. This image was sent to us by a subscriber. Similarly, if you ever wish to know more about an image you come across, just send it to us. Who knows, we might even feature it in one of our videos. Today's subscriber pick is about the 18 dead bodies found in space. Well, this is only quarterly true, as there are unfortunately many casualties in the space missions, but only 2 bodies are lost in space which is not yet found. First, the body of a female dog named Laika, the first creature to ever land on the surface of the moon, who died just after 2 days due to extreme heat and was actually never planned to return to Earth. The second dead body is of an astronaut named Michael Ellsbury, involved in a spacecraft crash, and his body was lost in space forever. Waterball. As astronaut Scott Kelly, on his last 1-year mission in space, carried out various experiments, in this video, he dropped a medium-sized drop of water in space and tried out how different dyes interact with this drop of water. Starting with the blue color, he gradually adds 2 drops of red color. Then, with the help of cotton expanded the droplet a little, making the droplet look like a tiny galaxy orbiting space. I still can't digest that without gravity. Water would be so mystical. Falling for the moon. This video is about an astronaut who just landed on the moon and is trying to drive a pentrometer into the soil of the moon. For those of you who don't know, a pentrometer is a device having a metal shaft with a reference plate on one hand and a movable drum on the other end. This device is used to understand the density of the soil. In other words, to see if the soil is compacted. So, back to the story. Charles drives the device and starts having trouble standing back, a little blurry, but Charles' 3 attempts to stand up can be clearly seen. And at last, with a little knee hump, he stands up and gathers the sample. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.